quickly. That's not the only, these are 4 reasons are not the only reasons why people engage in behavior problems. There's a whole set of other influences that we can call setting events. I'm not going to talk about them in great detail other than to talk about 2, one of which is mood. We've done a series of studies now on mood. For years, teachers have told us, I can tell when he comes in off the bus what kind of day it's going to be. Okay? I look at his face and I can say, oh, it's going to be a good day. Or I look at his face and say, oh, I should have called in sick today. You know, this is going to be a bad day. He's got the devil in his eyes. This is going to be bad. They've told us about mood. Now, again, I told you I'm somewhat behaviorally trained. You don't really pay attention to mood, which is something inside, when you're behaviorally trained. So that really hasn't been studied, how someone's internal feelings could affect them. So what we wanted to do was study it, say how would a person's mood affect their behavior problems. The problem is a lot of the kids that we work with are not verbal, so they can't do some of the things that the mood induction people do, which is if you want to induce a mood, one way to do that is to have them imagine certain things. So imagine you're on a deserted island. Okay, you're on a chair. The only sound is the sound of waves crashing at your feet. There's no phone. There's no beeper. No one asking for anything. Then you hear the kind of tinkling sounds. Yeah, now people are going, why am I not there? Glass with ice in it, little umbrella, favorite drink. Someone's giving this to you now. Imagine that scenario. Then you sit there and you're in a positive mood. Okay, you can't do that with the kids that we work with because you don't know what they're thinking about. So what we did actually was go to music. Music is kind of a neat thing. If you study mood induction and music, what you find is you can kind of condense the influence of music down to its beats. Okay? So if I told you I'm going to play 2 types of music, happy music and sad music, and I'm just going to show you the beats, and you tell me whether that's happy or sad. Happy. Sad. Okay? I was at a funeral recently, and what kind of music do they play at funerals? So you're sad already, and then they play music that makes you even sadder. It's a bizarre trick, unless, like part of my family background, you're Irish, in which time they play music like this, and then they give you beer to drink, and so you don't care anymore. If you go throughout the world and play musical selections based on beat, if you play slow beat music, people will appear sad. If you play fast beat music, people will appear happy, no matter where you go. Right. Okay. What we did here was to look at behavior problems in 3 individuals, put them in a situation that they would tend to engage in behavior problems. So for example, if they had escape-motivated behavior problems, we gave them difficult work, you'd see behavior problems there. If they were tangibly motivated, meaning they'd get upset if they couldn't get this, we wouldn't let them have it. Then what we did was played either slow beat music or fast beat music. Slow beat music, fast beat music, slow beat music, fast beat. What we found was that if we played fast beat music, the positive music, the behavior problems would go down. Okay. What this suggests is mood doesn't cause behavior problems. Mood's not going to solve behavior problems, but mood can mitigate behavior problems. It can be worse if you're in a bad mood. It can be better if you're in a good mood. Okay? So again, it's not that being in a bad mood is what's making me hit myself. Being in a bad mood, now that you're asking me to do something I don't want to do, makes it worse. Being in a bad mood, now that you're asking me to not have a lot of attention, makes it worse. So what we're actually doing now is using mood induction to try to help mitigate some problems. So sometimes we use music. Again, we don't use music all day long, but if we know this kid has, when he's going to have a long bus ride to get here, and he comes in cranky. Can we do some positive mood induction as the first thing coming in? Kind of a transition. Now, this should make some sense to you because you do this all the time. In fact, you created this conference with the positive mood induction transition. You didn't come in, sit at a table, and start to work. You came in, you had a cup of coffee, you can't even have toasters out there. I've never been at a conference where you had toasters. That is unique. You could toast bagels. This is pretty cool. You talked, you hung out, and then you began. What we do during the day is find ways to do this. What people do now often, how many of you use email? How many of you that use email check your email the first thing in the morning? Part of that is just to get you going. Okay, it's kind of not a big deal. You can check your email. It's like reading the newspaper. It's like having that cup of coffee. It transitions you into the day. We're trying to use these things to transition people into the day. We have, I mentioned Deaf Blind Project. We're working with a group and trying to see if, because they can't hear, can we use olfactory cues to induce positive mood. We're also looking at social interventions. There's a phenomenon called emotion contagion. Emotion contagion is a phenomenon where you pick up on the mood or the emotion of another people. So if I came in here really, hi, it's great to be here. What time do I have to talk to? I mean, 4? Okay. Is it time for a break yet? I'm sorry, but I'm just not up to it today. You'd think that was kind of odd, and then you'd get depressed, okay? We pick up on the emotions of other people. Now think about it. You're working with a kid, and you come in and say, this is going to be a bad day. Well, you know what? It is going to be a bad day, in part because you're going to make it a bad day, okay? Does your emotion get transferred to the children that you work with? So if you come in and say, we had a bad day yesterday, but we're going to have a good day today, okay? I don't care what happens, we're going to have a good day today. Does that emotion get picked up, and does that help mediate some of the behavior problems? So we're actually starting a study now to look at does this happen, and can we begin to help with behavior problems? Mood induction is a short-term prevention strategy. It's not what we would do to change the behavior problem long-term, but it's a way to get through things. So this is a really hard situation for this kid. We're going to go into speech therapy, and he hates speech therapy. It's too hard for him. He gets really upset. Can we transition him in a positive way so it makes it easier? What can we do to make this easier for this kid? Okay? Coming in the morning, devil in his eyes. Mood induction time. Okay? Instead of going right to work, let's do something else. I'll give you an example. I was observing a kid once who was clearly physically ill. Looked like he had a fever, looked like he's trying to throw up. This kid was in bad shape. And the teacher kept pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. Why? Didn't want the kid to win. Okay? Didn't want the kid to give up. Now I said to them, I said, you know what would happen if a kid sneezed in regular ed? I know there's at least one regular ed teacher here. Where are you? If you got a kid who's sick in a regular ed class, what do you do? Go to the nurse. Right. Immediately you escape. Okay? No demands are going to be placed on you now. Demands are done for the day. You get one-to-one attention from the school nurse. You might get soda or juice or something, some nice tangible things, and then get on the phone to the parents, say, pick this kid up because we don't want a sick kid in this school. In special ed, we keep them there. Okay? We're tough. What's happened is we learned that at certain points, this is a bad situation. This is not going to go anywhere. We're not going to make progress today. We probably shouldn't push this kid. Okay? Let alone the physical issues about getting better. We're not going to have a very productive day. We don't think about that sometimes. And we think we need to get through this task instead of thinking, probably, maybe today we back off. Okay.